Beautiful, beautiful day. I am here in the United States, Andeline in South Africa, and Vinny Krishna in, oh my God, did I say Vinny Krishna? Krishna Vinny. I love the start of this. Krishna Vinny in India. Welcome to Talk to Me Africa. Let me start by welcoming Andeline, who is a returning participant, returning guest on Talk to Me Africa. Welcome, Andeline.
Thank you.
I am so glad we kept in touch. It's been like 4 years and we do still keep in touch.
Yes, so
You are
nice.
you are a wonderful person, I must say that.
Thank you.
And Krishna Vinny joining us from India. It is late, but thank you so much for accepting to be on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Okay, so today we want to talk about special needs children, and we're going to talk a lot more about losing a special needs child. Andeline is the mother of a special needs child who happened to have passed away. May his soul rest in peace. I had no idea till you told me recently, and I was like, my heart bleed. Because you had talked so much about him on the previous show. The first time you came on the show, you talked so much about your son. And I had a parent on my show who is a parent of a special needs child, and what they told me about losing a special needs child is like you mourn twice. The first time is when you have this child come to the world and you're saying, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I need help. And then if this child goes away, you get devastated a second time around. So we'll talk about that and what kind of support that you can get as a parent, as a guardian of a special needs child. That's why we have the psychologist here today, Krishna Vinny. We shall talk a lot about that. But let me start with Andeline. Tell us a little bit more about your son for those of our audience who did not watch the first show. Talk about your special needs son that you had.
Okay, so my story is actually, I think I have a very special story, and what I'm going to tell you is actually, my life just took a turn. So anyway, I was a young mom. Um, I was in my 20s and I was in rural SA. And at that time, it was when you finish school, you either get married or you go to college and be a teacher, and the boys were lawyers and doctors, but the girls was either you go to nurse or you're being a teacher. One of those. There wasn't many options. Anyway, my mom and them was on a farm, but I met my husband when I was in nursing school, and everything went all right, and I found out that I was pregnant. And then 6 months down the line, I felt something strange, and I thought, oh, my baby's coming. And I can remember vividly, I went to the toilet, and I think something was wrong to the ladies. And I asked my husband to take me to hospital. And as I got to the hospital, I was in emergency, and I can remember the doctor asked me, do you want your baby in the emergency or do you want your baby at the maternity ward? And I was thinking, I said, no, maternity ward. And I don't know why I said that, but I thought, okay, he would be more, if there's anything that's going to save him, it would be the maternity ward, because the hospital at the time was one of the best in SA. It was in a city called Bloemfontein, and the Universitas Hospital were there. And I was a nurse, and I know how they dealt with these issues.
All right.
Anyway, but then my baby was born, and they said it was so strange. And I think people thought that he's not going to make it. And they pushed him into the wall and left him without oxygen. And then I went into the hall and I see, but there's my child in his crib. And then he was there already for a day. And then one of the nurses, I said, but my child has to go to the neonatal unit. And I called one of the senior nurses, and before I know, my child was in the neonatal unit. And he was there for about 6 months. And then we were sent home. and we were on a farm, and there was no support whatsoever. And then we used to go to town because my mom had a business every and then my mom would have phoned back home and asked how we were. And then I also have to tell you, 3 months after my child was born, his dad passed away. So I was thinking, I was in such shock. I tell you, my son passed away. My child was just born, and here I was left with my mom all alone. But my mom was very supportive, and my father as well. Anyway, and then when my son was about a year, we went to the local doctor, and he said to me, "I think your child is blind." And I was saying, "It cannot be." It was like, "No, it's not." And my mom said, "Annelien, we all think your child is blind." Okay. But things went well, and we realized that he was at about 2 years. He was still on nappies, and he did not speak, and he was not really hyperactive, but he was okay. Anyway, and then when he was about 4 years old, I said to my mom, "Okay, now that he's blind, we need to take him to school, and we need to find a school." My mom was saying, "No, we'll bring him up." I said, "No, we have to take him to school." So I found the Pioneer School in Worcester, which is one of the best in the world, I think, but it's also in South Africa. And then they said to me, "Okay, I can bring my child." And I was so lucky there was an opening. And then okay, and then they said, "But on one condition, your child will be in boarding school. From 4 years old, they take them to boarding school."
Yeah.
So I said, "All right," because they were potty training them, although my child was then sort of potty trained. And then one morning, the headmaster phoned and he asked me to come in, and he said to me, "We think your child is autistic, and he cannot be in the normal classes, so we are going to move him out to the special needs class."
So he's
So I said, "All
blind
right."
and now he's autistic.
Yes. All right. So that is his milestone, but he was walking, and now he's in a special needs class. And then when he was about 10 years old, I was called from school again, and they said to me, "We have a problem. Your child had an epileptic seizure." So we rushed, and now my child had epilepsy, he was blind, and he was autistic. All right, but everything went. So my child was in school, and then one morning when he was 13 years old, they called me because he catch on so many things. He was jumping from the first floor to the ground floor from out of the window, and he was taking all the children's food out of their plates, and he was catching on so much nonsense. And then they said,
Shivers,
"Listen,"
boy.
and then they said to me, "Listen, we wanted to fetch your child because we cannot take care of him." And then as a young mom, I thought, okay, if you don't want to take care of my child, I will do it myself. That was the biggest mistake, it was removing him from school. I should have fought for my child then. But that is in hindsight, and we cannot do anything about it. And as the time passed on, what is the most difficult thing? When my child was at home, there was zero support. Then there was a school for autistic children in Cape Town called Vera School. And then I was calling all the schools, and they said to me, "Sorry, your child is autistic. We could have taken your child because he's autistic, but because he's blind, we cannot take him because we are not yet up for children that's blind." Okay. Then I called another school. They said to me, "Okay, we could have taken him, but because he has epilepsy, we cannot take him." Right?
Okay.
And I was an accountant at the time. I was studying, and by then I had another 2 kids, Cherie and Danielle. And now we had the brother at home and no one to take care of him. And then this is the most difficult part, I think, is that there's no trained carers anywhere that I know of that will assist you in your house. So what we did is we were taking cleaners from the street and asked them for help, and they would say yes. And they didn't know about my son, but they tried their best because it was about money. And that was also very difficult. Some of them coped and some of them didn't cope. And then I got remarried to my husband. And in the beginning, he coped with my son. But as he grew older as a teenager, it became more difficult.
Yeah.
So my son would throw things around and he would break things and he would throw tables around and he would attack me. And I think it was frustration, but also behavioral issues and also the epileptic tablets that he had. And it was really a mess.
Wow.
And then I decided I had to understand that okay, so then everyone was asking me, Andeline, and what are you going to do when your child is an adult? Where are you going to place him? Think about his future. And then I was thinking about his future, and I started a group home in Cape Town, and I had children that was in children of his age and a little bit younger, because there's law in South Africa that if you have children, then there's age groups that are together, and then the girls and the boys need to be split. But I had a small group home of 6 boys.
The law says they have to be split, you said?
Yeah, boys and girls separate, and age groups separate, which is good, which is really good, because I understand it today. I didn't understand everything then, but it really makes sense. All right, and then I met a friend of mine, and he said he had a bigger house. Would I like to have more kids? Because he was looking for a home for his child. And I went bigger. That was an absolute disaster, because then I had parents that contacted me, girls that needed help and smaller children that needed assistance, and those children needed to be taught, and I needed more staff to help me, and it was expensive. So I've been around the block, and eventually just before COVID, I closed it down because it just became a money
Too much
drain.
for you, yeah.
Too much. It was absolutely too much. And at the time, I was then raising awareness with Prof. Sharma, and that kept me busy. And then one day, one of the social workers that someone had a complaint, one of the neighbors, and she came to me and she said to me, you know what, Andeline, you are doing very good work, but because you are not home all the time, rather keep it to the 6 boys or close it down. So I decided to give myself a break and close it down. Okay, then I moved away from Cape Town to a very small town. And then as me and my husband argued about my son, and he just couldn't cope with my son, and he said, you and your son go, because I can't do it anymore.
So he left you?
Yes, I left with my boy.
Wow. And
then I was looking for a home, and I found a home in in the Free State where I come from, but that was an absolute disaster also, because they were not geared up for blind children that's blind, although they tried, but it just did not work. And that is how I realized that you cannot just place your child. You have to then find a proper home. But in South Africa, it's also very difficult. And if you find a home that's suitable, it's about $1,000 US. And for us, it was a lot, 1,000 to 1,500. All right. So anyway, so at that time, South Africa was in turmoil with infrastructure, and there wasn't electricity, and we decided to move back to Cape Town.
To Africa.
We decided to move back to Cape Town, and then I had a carer that really helped me, and then she had to go and leave, and I took care of my son myself. And one day he was really very sick, and I took him. It was also when the electricity issue started. And I bathed him and I asked him, he had a seizure earlier in the day. And then I bathed him and I fed him and I said, "Frick it." And then he was 39, all right. He would turn 40 this year. But okay, so I said to him, "Would you like to go to bed?" And he said yes. And I put him in his bed. And I can still remember it was past 12. And I was so tired. And I was working. But anyway, I put him to bed. And then I fell asleep. And I woke up the next morning around 4 o'clock. And I went to his... Okay, so in the middle of the night, my husband went and checked on him. And he was fine. And when I woke up at say between 4 and 5, I can't remember. And I went to his bed, and as I want to pick him up to say, "Hi, come, you have to now get up," I realized that my son passed away. And my son passed away because of an epileptic seizure, because I could see it. And my daughter, at the time, my daughter is a medic. And I called her. She was in Cape Town, and she came and she drove back from Cape Town. And she helped me, and I called the police because that is a procedure that we have in South Africa so that they can check what happened. And I called, and my daughter called an ambulance. And I was like, I can talk about it now, but I was like, what happened? And then, then we had to make funeral arrangements. And I promise you, it's only God that carries us through our most difficult times. All I could do was pray.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a God in heaven. It was at night, and I was sleeping, and I hear a laugh in the passage. And I didn't want to tell my husband, and he didn't want to tell me, because I think that he thought I would be crazy, and I thought that he would be crazy. And the next morning, I just couldn't hold it anymore. I said to him, "Listen here, did you hear Frikkie laugh in the passage?" He said, "Yes, I wanted to tell you. But I thought you would think I was crazy." And then my son visited us, and so I know that he is alive and okay wherever he is.
Oh my goodness. Andeline, wow. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know even what words can we use to console a parent like you who has had these struggles with your child from the day he was born until he passed away at 39.
Yes.
And if you think that you did not advocate very well for your child, you did what was best at the time. What you knew best is what you did. And like I said in the beginning, one of my friends who has a special needs child had told me that when you lose a special needs child, it's like mourning twice, because once they're born and you see that they have this problem, you start mourning right there. So Krishna Vini, let me ask you this really quick. Do you see the death of special needs kids at the Neurogen Brain and Spine Institute in India where you work? Is this something that happens often? Do you see parents go through that?
So we usually work with a rehabilitation. We are a rehabilitation team, right? So I'm a part of the rehabilitation team. We do, after they come in for prevention and they head back, sometimes they do call us and inform us about, if there has been a child who has passed away, then they do inform us, and it's a very difficult time for the family. So we do tell them, as a psychologist and who can work with grief and mental health, I do talk to the parents if they have lost, their child because of any reason. It could be any other challenges as well, like Ms. Adeline just told us about the seizure, or there can be some other contributing factor that could also, come in, which could interfere with the child's ability to function, or it can be life-threatening as well sometimes.
So, Andeline, did your child have friends growing up?
Yes, he did. I was very lucky that he did. At the Pioneer School. So although he was non-verbal, so he used to whisper. He used to whisper names. And whenever we had birthdays, we used to invite everyone, and he used to know his the children that he used to live with in boarding school. He used to know their names. And obviously, he had his two sisters, and they used to bring friends home.
So he
And
would
then
whisper their
something that
names.
was,
Yeah.
yes. And there were some people that just liked him, that always came and visit.
Mhm.
And yes, and they would bring some sweets, and they would sit with him and play some music, and he did some silly dancing, and they were dancing with. So yes, and yeah, so he had his friends, and he knew them by name, and he would whisper their names. So I knew that he knew who was who, even
They
though
were,
he was
yeah.
blind. Yes.
You had your hands full. He was blind. He was autistic. He had epilepsy, and he was deaf.
No. Yeah, and then he passed. No, but he was just blind. He had epilepsy, and
So
he
he could hear,
was
but he
just
couldn't just
yes,
speak. Okay.
he was.
He was
You know,
non-verbal.
yes, he was non-verbal. So something I just want to put this in for one other reason. I want to explain something. When I was at the Pioneer School in Worcester, then his teacher one day came to me, and she said to me, I see that you never talk to your child. I just want to tell you that your child is blind, he's not deaf. Speak to your child, he can hear you.
Yeah.
And then that was like a light bulb moment, that I spoke then more to my child. I think I was quiet in the beginning, and she said to me, I hardly ever see you speak, but speak to your child. He can hear you. And so that was like, okay.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Krishna Vinny, tell us about, in general, the children that you see at the Neurogen Brain and Spine Institute in Mumbai, in India. What do you see generally? She had a kid that had, was autistic, was nonverbal, had epilepsy. What do you see?
So I work with neurodevelopmental disorder, the individuals who have diagnosis of neurodevelopmental condition. The hospital has individuals coming from young age to geriatric population on the neurological disorder. But when it comes to pediatric, we work with neurodevelopment. So neurodevelopment is anything wherein they have difficulty in the developmental challenges that they could have. It could be with regards to their cognition, their understanding, it could be related language, it could be autism spectrum disorder related to the social emotional reciprocity, understanding relations, intellectual deficit or intellectual disability. We have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So these all come under, and there are many more. There is learning disability, people who are able to get into the mainstream schooling but have difficulties in reading, writing, or doing arithmetic calculations. So we work with all of these individuals who have this diagnosis, or children who have these diagnoses.
So do you have any standardized tests or exercises that you use to help them?
Yes, definitely. So when it comes to rehabilitation, the first thing that we always do is we do an assessment and an in-depth evaluation. An assessment could be based on your own protocols, but it follows a standard protocol across the world. There are some basic information like the birth history, the development history that you may ask, the current concerns that the child may have. And along with that, there are some standardized tests that like IQ assessment, that is the intelligent quotient assessment.
Yeah.
We have the VSMS called as a Vineland Social Maturity Scale. So this is a scale where the child is unable to communicate or is unable to speak, like how Adeline told about, the child is not able to have the words to say something. We do this test to see how independent the child is currently, how much as per his age is he doing things that he should be doing. We also have an ISA scale, which assesses the level of autism. We have the autism rating scale, which assesses the intensity or the severity level of autism. And then we have the Gilliam autism rating scale. it is always good to incorporate multiple scales when it comes to psychological evaluations, because it helps us understand where the child is currently
Right.
and where we need to go ahead. It helps us plan better for the child.
That's wonderful. And Andeline, you've been to the center, right? Did you go there with your son or with your daughter?
I went with my daughter. I want to tell you what happened. So, after my son passed away, I, when you have a severe, okay, the most difficult thing that I think about autism is that it goes from severe to moderate to mild to, so you have to help me, Krishna, to
Yeah,
severe and
you're absolutely right. Mild, moderate, severe, yes, we
Okay.
do have.
yeah. So because my child was so severe, all right, I forgot about the other siblings. And when I say forgot, I mean that as a mother, I had the two daughters, and I won't say I didn't spend much time. I did as much as possible. They had an aunt that helped them, and that gave them a lot of love, and then my husband. But I focused so much on my boy
Yeah,
that I didn't give a lot of attention.
to the
And
sisters.
then the sister, so then afterwards, Cherie was always helping me, raising awareness. But then she was always tired, and I thought, oh, she's just lazy, all right. And then when Frikkie passed away, she said to me, when the one day when she said to me, I'm so tired, I can't help you, I passed out again. I said, you're always tired and passed out. What's going on with you? Yes, Mom, I didn't want to tell you because you were so busy with my brother. Since I was in school, I had this problem. And then I realized that I called the institute and I spoke to Prof. And we realized that Cherie is also, although she's highly intelligent, but then we realized she had epilepsy as well, which was only diagnosed now.
How old is
And
she? And what age was it
she was
diagnosed?
33. Because she didn't want to tell me, and she was like in and out of school, and many times she couldn't go to school, and I thought she was just a lazy learner, but actually she had many more problems. And so this is what happens, is that, when I think sometimes the siblings are support us so much that
Yeah.
we actually can not forget about them, but we don't see their other issues,
Yeah.
and that so now then Cherie went to the center and she was assisted and she's doing really well now.
That's good. That's
But
good. I mean, it's not like you neglect your other child, but you see the one that needs more help and you seem to focus a lot more on them. So I'm glad she's
yeah,
doing better. So let me go back to when you had your son, right? Did you immediately accept the fact that this is my son, he has these issues, or did you say, no, I don't think this is happening to my child. This is not real. Let's do tests. I deny this. It's not a good diagnosis for me. Did you accept that your child had all these issues in the beginning?
I think, okay. So school, my upbringing and the schooling that I have, I think helped me to accept it and to just know that we had to move on. There was no time for
denial,
there
for
was
questioning. Yeah.
no.
Mm.
And that was just the upbringing. I had a very strict upbringing. I was in boarding school. I was a good athlete, and so I I just had that. I think I must thank the school that I was in and my parents and my upbringing that I could cope with this. Otherwise, I think I would really fall apart. And I think that is why I can help other parents as well. I get many calls from parents that says, Andeline,
Good.
I just want to speak to you. Today was a bad day. My child, I have a very dear friend in Zambia, Nelly, and she has also opened a school for children and adults with autism. And she called me the one day and she said, you know what? My son has turned out all the light bulbs in the house. and I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him, but please tell me what I should do. And it was in the middle of the night. And so I know how to assist. Just, can you just give me, yeah. So I think through all the trauma, I've learned to support other parents as well. I think God gave me this child to be supportive to others.
Yeah, that you found a purpose with that. Now, Krishna Vini, as a psychologist, right, do you provide one-on-one counseling to help these children to cope with their, their difficulties, their mental health, to stabilize them? Do you do that one-on-one?
Yes. So, especially when we're working with children, a one-on-one session is the most effective, right? So we call it the therapy or rehabilitative therapy, because counseling may refer to talk therapy sometimes, right? So we may use interventions like play therapy, where we engage in play with a child. For a child, play is the only way to learn something and to grow, right? So we do have one-to-one sessions, and that is the best and the most effective way. We also have behavior therapy, where we work on the, developing good skills, and in case if any particular behavior has to be overcome, then we work on that also, some problematic behavior sometimes. So those kind of therapies are planned for the children, and it is usually provided one-on-one. Unless the goal for the therapy is something else, then a group may be decided.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you also do group therapy, so it depends on what you want to achieve.
Yes.
You might do individual or group sessions. That is great.
Group therapy, yes.
That is great.
It depends on the goal. The goal of the requirement of the child. It is individualized to every child. We can't just use one protocol for all the children, right? So every child is different, and we need to modify our style of teaching as well. It can't be like a mainstream education where these are the curriculums. You just go to school and then you learn all of that. It's not like that. It is for every child, individualize it, make it unique to that child. Find what are the child's abilities and work on developing those abilities more, and work on the independent living skills. Anything that will make the child more independent to take care of himself, herself, and the current environment. So in group, we focus a lot on socialization, especially when it comes to autism and intellectual disability or ADHD. They may have difficulty in waiting for their turn. They may have difficulty sharing things. And the group therapy may have activities or games wherein they can all share with each other, and they can play together and learn that waiting turn as well. And one more very important part is, like Ms. Adrian just said, that often when the child is diagnosed, the family some time, and they kind of detach from the society, the regular, the conventional, the naturalistic environment of the society. So provide therapy also ensures the family is also involved in socialization, because that is so crucial. We are social animals, and if we don't work with each other, it becomes very challenging. So the social support Ms. Adeline is talking about is so important for our children as well as the family.
Yeah, we are indeed social animals. So talk about a little bit more about the support, Andeline. You had some difficulty getting support at home in the beginning. What about professional support? I know you've been to the Neurogen Brain and Spine Institute in Mumbai for support. Andeline, back home in South Africa, what kind of support did you get from your medical professionals?
Okay, in my time, there were absolutely nothing, very little, except for the pioneer.
That's 39 years ago we're talking about here.
Yes. I will say today, okay, so the one thing I think today it's more accessible, but it's very expensive. And if you find it, and if you want therapies, then it's not all under one roof. It is, you have to drive to the speech therapist, you have to drive to the occupational therapist, you have to drive to the physio. Then if you go to school, you also have that. So if you put your child into school, you have that cost. If the school doesn't offer therapy, you have the therapy cost. So it's a very difficult thing. It's really difficult, and it can be very, very expensive. So today, as I said, there's much more, there's many more schools, there's many more therapists, but the cost, it comes with a cost.
Yeah.
But in South Africa at the moment, I must say, I'm getting very impressed because teachers are more willing to start up schools. Parents are fighting for costs, and if I really, I think South Africa is really getting there. But I would say only for the last 2 years, really, because otherwise it was really not easy in SA. I think
Yeah.
only for, like I said, for the last 2 years, it's really been going very well.
Mhm. Yeah. And then let me ask Krishna Vini, from where around the world do you have people come to the institute? Because I know that I learned about this from Andeline a lot, and I know somebody from Cameroon who also went there. Do you see a lot of influx for people from Africa to this institute? Is that where you have most of the patients come from?
No, we have people coming in from all the clinics. We have 173 countries. We have, patients who have come in from
Oh,
173 plus countries.
173. That's yeah.
Yeah. So we do have people coming from all over the world currently. Yeah.
And what are some of the
Because
results you've seen?
whatever.
What are some of the outcomes? Have you had children improve dramatically because they came to that institute?
Yes. So, because in Neurogen, along with the conventional technique of rehabilitation, they also provide those medical newer interventions, right?
Okay.
And those when work together, they work together really well in adjunct with each other, and we see children show very good progress, and we do see, parents coming back again, and also planning for longer therapy plans when they are back.
Stay, yeah.
This is the
Mm-hmm.
first time, and of course, the age matters over here because younger the child or younger age, that's why they say early intervention is always better. When the child is younger, the earlier ages, you can do a lot more with the child. You can work on the neuroplasticity, which is a brain mechanism to help, wire and form concepts. So that is what the concept is of rehabilitation as well.
Mm.
We
And
do
then I know
something
you
repetitively till our brain forms the neural networks. Sorry,
awesome.
carry on.
And then you told me about, having seen cases where special needs children are excluded from social events like birthday parties and other celebrations. How did you deal with that when your child was younger?
I was lucky. Everyone in my household there's always a cake and singing and things like that, or a braai. So my family was very supported and they really loved my child. But I must say, this is one thing that I really want to do with on social media is that I want to give parents the opportunity to actually create a birthday for their child and then share it or tell me that their child has a birthday. There is a stigma to it,
There is a
especially
stigma
when a
to
child,
being, yeah, there is a stigma to
yeah,
having all the disabilities, yeah.
yes, and especially also so there's cerebral palsy children, and they can also have autism, and it's a dual diagnosis, and they sit in a wheelchair, and people do not want to associate with them,
Yeah.
or the mom, or the whole family. The mom is so I'm looking for a word. The mom is so alone and no one comes to the party. She can invite people and people will not come. So that is one of my efforts all the years that I want to do is um parents just saying it's my child's birthday party and we can play a song because these children are excluded. For me, it was not so difficult, but I know other parents, even in my community, where they will rather people will just not come to the birthday
And they
because
will just not
either they
celebrate the child at all, so
no.
how I know your child was, autistic, your child was nonverbal, your child was epileptic. How did you encourage this child to live the best life as a child? When your child does something, you go, yeah, good job. How did you do that for your child? How did you cheer him up, encourage him to know that he is doing great at certain things?
Okay, so if he built a Lego tower, which he was good at because he learned it at the Pioneer School, then I will say, good job, well done.
That
And
he
when
could
he
hear you, like
built
your teacher said, yeah.
yes. Yes. And when he dressed himself and he tried to put on his own pants or his own t-shirt, or he ate by himself trying to use his own spoon, I would really tell him, well done. And his sisters, his siblings would also help. And I think I just didn't care about other people. If
Yeah.
they didn't like to see it,
Yeah.
too bad.
I like
If
that.
they, yes. So
Yeah.
I did it even in the, I took him to like a restaurant and I would let him have a pizza. And if he enjoyed it, I will say, well done. And I will take him for his birthday to the Spur here. So I will sing for him on his birthday. And I did not care about what the rest of the world was thinking. It was
That's
just me and
wonderful.
myself.
Yeah, end of the day, he's your child. So what are some of the routines that you had him do growing up? Because I know that with some special needs children, you need specific routines to keep them. You know, I know that the secretary will talk more about that. But what did you keep as routines for him to help him, improve as he grew older?
Okay. So I feel routines are very, very important so
Right.
that they know what their bedtime is. So when they get up in the morning, that they are not tired and grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Give them chronic medication on time. Now, this is something very important. If your child has epilepsy or is on chronic medication for asthma or for anything, blood pressure or whatever, you make sure that you give the tablets on time. Because
Mm-hmm.
some people will give chronic medication. Today they gave it at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow they give it at 7 o'clock. So I always made sure that he had his chronic medication on time, and then breakfast on time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so that they have a routine, because if they go and sleep late, then the next morning, how must they cope?
Right.
Um, yeah, and a tired child is a grumpy child. And then when they are grumpy, you have to struggle with a difficult child. So
Exactly.
he gets aggressive and violent, and you get moody, and then the whole household is upside down. You have to go to work, you sit with a difficult child,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole household is in turmoil. So that is what I try to do, is to keep a routine.
Routines.
That's
That's
very,
that's
very, yeah.
great. Yeah. Let me ask Krishna Vinay, as a psychologist, how important, are routines when it comes to special needs children?
I think routines are very crucial for all human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have a diagnosis or not, even for us, it can affect our mood, like
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Adeline just said. It can affect our mood, our circadian rhythm, which is an internal circle of cycle that we have within us to eat and drink, thirst, and sleep, right? So for our children also, routine plays a very important role because they have challenges in other domains, and if their daily routine gets haywire, it can be very challenging for the whole family to deal with. Like the sleep
Mm.
plays a very important role. Rest is very crucial. Nutritious food is
You involve
very
the whole family in the routine process.
yes.
That is important. Yeah.
Yes. So, teaching for the other training that for independent living skills like brushing their teeth or wearing their clothes, even that is part of their routine because this can be taught very well at home environment where the parents are also involved. They can
Mhm.
model it. They can show the child, see, I'm brushing my teeth. You also brush your teeth. So these kind of trainings are also should be incorporated in their daily routine. So they learn it on a daily basis. So routine definitely is a must, and that's why currently now in the for children with autism, we do a lot of visual aids as well because our
Mhm.
children can be better at learning visually. They are better visual learners than auditory learners. So incorporating visual as well as auditory commands, we do a lot of visual aids for our children to follow the routine. First let's do this, then let's do the next step, for brushing or for wearing clothes or for eating. So these are the main key areas where we should definitely have a set routine.
So for,
And the
for, for
medication.
somebody like Andeline's son who was blind,
Yes,
autistic,
right.
non-verbal, epileptic,
Yes,
and you use so
yes,
many visuals in your routines, how would you help him? What would you
yes.
do for him for routines?
So someone like Ms. Alin's son, the child, he would come under the multiple disability diagnosis, right? Where he had multiple disabilities. There we have to further modify it. Using maybe music as a form of remembering the next step. So use, like they say, one, two, buckle your shoes, two, wear your bag. So these kind of, we need to come up with innovative ideas. We need to be creative when we are working with our children so that they learn. But in general, we do not come across many children with multiple disabilities, right? In autism, so they may have only single diagnosis as well. When they have dual diagnosis, then the intervention plan is to modify accordingly.
Awesome. Let's talk about self-care, okay? We provide so much care. You do provide so much care to these children, as a psychologist, and then to you provide so much care to your children who have all these disabilities. How do you care for yourself, Andeline? What do you do to care for yourself?
That is challenging. It is challenging.
And I must say, I like how you talk about this throughout the show with a smile on your face. I mean, losing a special needs child, it's a tough thing already because you've already lost that child along the way. But I want to really commend you for smiling through this conversation today. So talk to us about what you do to take care of yourself.
What did I do? Okay.
Sounds like there was nothing because you have to think about it. You gave your all to your children.
I think, okay, the siblings really helped me a lot when I asked them I want to go to town quickly. But one day, I think Cherie was saying to me, I was like, Cherie, please, can you take care of your brother? I want to go quickly to the shop. And she had something on and I had something on. And then I say, whenever you ask me, I will do it for you. So please look after your brother. And then one day she told me, Mom, I want to go to my party now. I'm going. My brother is your responsibility, not mine. You see? Yeah. So that day it was like cold water hit me. And that is very, very true. And then, but anyway, in South Africa, we braai a lot, like a barbecue in USA. We do that a lot here in South Africa, and I think that is very nice. And I also try to go for a lot of walks with my son. There's a lot of paths, and I took him with on the paths, and there's not much time for yourself. You have to make do with what you have.
Your relaxation or self-care time had to involve him as well.
Yes, definitely. There is no time for yourself.
I think you did a great job for 39 years taking care of him.
It's very difficult now without him. So now what I do is, it's like one of my friends told me, you're going to have a different life now. You're going to maybe do more things. But I don't do more things. I'm still in the special needs arena. I'm still with special needs moms. I still work with Krishna with the Institute. I still, do a lot of these things. And I visit the okay, so now, sorry. So I visit the graveyard many times. I will say about twice a week. And I still find myself when I go shopping that I would think, oh, my son would have liked this or he would have liked that. And before I leave the store, I would look for like silk flowers that I can put on his grave or find something nice that will last. Or but I try to do a lot of events to keep me busy. And I try to think what else I can do for other parents, because even when my son was alive, it wasn't just us, it was the other parents as well.
That's right.
And and I still make it my passion to take care of them. But yeah, there's not when he passed away, I think 2 months after that, or 3 months after that, I went on an event and I was thinking, if I'm not going to go and see other parents or trying to help other parents that I always try to do, I would really fall apart. If someone had to put me in, just corner me into four walls, I would never make it. I was on an event in Senegal. And on the event, I was trying to speak about my son and I was crying my eyes out, but I was thinking and trying to compose myself at the same time. And I was just thinking, he's by my side and I have to pull myself together and continue.
Your lives have
So,
been intertwined. It's hard for you to live without your son. So you keep doing things that make you feel like he is there with you. And I really admire the fact that you're using your time to support other parents who have special needs children, because it is tough. Caregiving is a very tough position to be in. Let me ask Vinny, Krishna Vinny, what kind of support do you provide to parents or guardians who bring these children to you with special needs? You know, what kind of support do you provide them? Because they are overwhelmed. They are exhausted. So as a psychologist, how do you support them?
So as part of our evaluation and assessment, we do have something called as a caregiver burden scale, which is done with all the individuals who come to us.
Okay.
Because for a family, right, the person, the primary caregiver, over here, Miss Adeline was the primary caregiver, even though the family is there, but she was the one who was making sure everything is going on time and taking him to the school and other centers wherever that he had to be taken, right? So she becomes the primary caregiver, and we do a evaluation of how much burden they are experiencing, and then we plan counseling sessions, talk therapy, or psychotherapeutic interventions for our parents. There are times when parents feel that, you know what, I don't want to do this. It is not easy. So they do also feel that, and we give them that safe space for them to talk, to get it out of their system. Because otherwise, when they say something like this, maybe at home, it would ruffle some feathers, right? People will be like, how can you say this? Because this is your child. But it's quite human to have these kind of emotions where you feel that this is a lot for me, right? It's not easy to do this day in and day out. It's not like a set number of time. It's an ongoing process. It's a lifelong commitment sometimes. So it can be overwhelming, and we in counseling, the non-judgmental space, confidential space, and a safe environment is provided for the family or the primary caregivers to talk about, to address these emotions that they are experiencing. And also based on this, we also do a counseling session with all the parents.
Yeah.
We do have a group therapy for the parents alone or for the caregivers, where we talk to them about goal setting. We give them interventions, techniques that they can use to plan better their day, how to manage their anger, how to manage their emotions, how to set goals for your child, or how to set goals for the patient that you're caring for, so that they know that, okay, I have the tools, so I'm able to better deal with it. We also recommend definitely taking at least 15 minutes a day for themselves, and to do something that they really like doing. Let it be listening to music, watching something, or dancing, or going for a walk, just by themselves, just by themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
So
so
before
that
they leave your institution, right? That's what you do when they are there. Do you give them materials that they take along so they can continue the process of taking care of themselves while they're not at your institution?
Right. So, home program is for
Mm,
a home program is given for the patient, right?
okay,
So, for the like, what strategies you have to use when you head back for the next 3 months? What are your goals? What are your
mm,
goals for the next
that's
six
good.
months? What do you want to work on, and how are we going to achieve that? So, giving them the strategies, the techniques, the materials they may have to acquire at home environment, or at home if they have to make some modifications. All that is given, all that support is given. So because there's a rehabilitation team, right? So we have occupational therapy, we have physiotherapy, we have speech therapy, we have psychologists, we have special education, and we have aquatic. So all of these people from their expertise, they provide strategies they can use with the child. So we are covering the child's home program from all angles. Sometimes we also inform parents. We also have a system of case manager, right? So every child comes in gets allotted a case manager. So this is the one point contact with the child. So in this scenario, anytime the parents feel that they are not able to understand what's happening, or there is some challenge they are facing, or they are feeling overwhelmed, we tell them you get in touch with us. So we give them that time to go through whatever material we have given them. Plus, if they want continued support, we are there for them, because we know that it's not a one-time thing, right? It's an ongoing process. So we do tell them that call us anytime you have any doubt. Call us. We are just a phone call away from them.
Oh, wow. That is wonderful. I tell you, I can't imagine what somebody like Andeline, had to do it for 39 years. Andeline, God bless you so much. So God bless you so much. The last thing I want to talk about today is your YouTube channel. You did tell me that you're starting a channel. You want to talk about, children who are special needs children. You want to talk about their parents and try to get them, socialized and get involved in things that they would otherwise not be invited to because of their situations or conditions. So talk about that channel for a little bit, Andeline.
Okay, so that is something that I really wanted to do for a very, very long time. And
they're paying it forward. That's great.
Yes, so my daughter said she would help me, and we had a strange name called Table of Things. And Mabel told me, no, that we need to find another name that is more appropriate. So we're going to work on that. I just feel that it will assist special needs parents if they want to. They can send in content if they want. They can help us. They can send a birthday party in, because I feel there's not really platforms for special needs parents to send content, except for maybe on a WhatsApp group or something like that. But if we can get it on a YouTube channel where it can be forever, hopefully, and parents can refer back and can learn from others, and that is really what I would like to do. Especially parents that just want to share. You never know what comes out from, what is valuable. Like I'm on a WhatsApp group. There's so many WhatsApp groups, but I think I'm on 130 WhatsApp groups, and one of them are diets, and one of them on supplements, and one of them on this, that, and the next.
There's too many. So you think your channel will be that centralized location where you can find everything. And I also think that what you should do is bring parents together that have, such special needs children, so that you can have outings once in a while. They feel, included in events, that you organize or that others organize.
Yes, and they can put it there, because if it's on a YouTube channel, anyone in Zambia or anyone in Botswana
can access it.
Yeah, but for now we have a WhatsApp group for Botswana. We have a WhatsApp group for Zambia. We have a WhatsApp group for
Cameroon, which I'm on.
Yes. So we have a WhatsApp group everywhere. But if we can incorporate it, yes. And we post the same post every day 140 times. So yes, Mabel, really, if you can help, it will really be, if we can always post.
Yeah, let's pick a name to start with. That name, Table of Things. My point was that, the algorithm on the World Wide Web is not going to find something about autism or special needs if you have Table of Things. Like, what are these things? So let's brainstorm about the name before we continue, all right? Before we continue with it. But it's a great initiative. I really like that, because you're paying it forward and you're tirelessly helping other people who are in your shoes. And even though yours is lighter now because your son is gone, but you still feel the burden to help other people, and I really appreciate that.
And also, I do have Cherie that popped out now with the epilepsy and that need assistance.
Mhm.
So I've lost one special needs child,
Yeah.
but I think I have Cherie now that I need to take care of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank God she's
But
a lot more independent. She used to help with your son, so
yes,
that's why I mean by your burden is
imagine.
lighter, but you still have the burden to go and help other people. So, Krishna Vini, what psychological
Yes.
advice would you give to parents or guardians of special needs
Mm.
kids before we leave here today?
So, working towards acceptance, even though it is very challenging,
Mm,
not being in denial. Special needs does not mean that they don't have abilities. They have some different kinds of abilities, and
mhm,
we have, as a so-called neurotypical population, we have to also make sure that we understand that and we provide that kind of support to them. Do not isolate them from the society, because isolation is not going to help anybody. It's not going to help you, your family, or your children. So take your children for everywhere that you're going. Plan your day well. A set routine can help you get some time for yourself as well. Focus on the core important things of human life, right? The food, the sleep, water. So sometimes there has been situations where I notice it's sometimes the small thing like the lack of sleep has triggered so many things. Like being hungry has triggered so many anger outbursts. So for your child as well as for you, these are some important things. And being a parent in itself is quite challenging. Parenting in general is not an easy task. And if you have a child who is a special needs, it's gonna be a little different than the other parenting journey. But it's not doable. Seek support. Having a team with you, having that support system with you is really it can really reduce the burden that you're experiencing. Delegating tasks at home, like Madeline used to give tasks to the siblings and to other family members. I think that's a very good way to plan, because it takes a whole village to bring up a child, right? So we need to have everybody at home doing small tasks. It can be simple things like grocery shopping to be done by somebody else. For a while, maybe teaching or going for outside walk with another person. So then not everything comes onto the mother or
mhm.
the father.
Yeah, great
So I think these
advice.
are some things.
Yeah, great advice. Andeline, I think you're equipped to move on, helping other parents. I think you'll be equipped very
Yeah.
soon to carry on your YouTube channel and get other parents involved. I'm so sorry for the loss of your son.
Yeah.
But 39 years of you loving him and showing him so much, love and helping him and doing your best, because you started by saying that you did not really advocate for him, but you did what you knew best, so again, my condolences. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for not giving up on other parents because you're like, oh, now I don't want to help you, but you still go forward and help other parents who have special needs children. So thank you so much and God bless you.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. And maybe my last, for closing on my part, I can say that something I learned is not to be so judgmental of other parents and just let it be, because life doesn't come with with
A
a,
handbook.
a handbook. No, it doesn't. And
Manual.
maybe we think that we can do it better, and maybe we can look at another parent and think, they can do it better, but
Yes.
they are just in the moment, and we are all just in the moment, and we should just treasure what we have and assist in that time. So that's one thing I've learned, is not to be judgmental at all.
That's right. And like Krishna Vini said, parenting is already tough. What about parenting a special needs child? And you did a great job. Now, do you have any proverb advice you want to share before I let you ladies go?
Yeah. Why fit in when you were born to stand out, right?
Wow, say it again.
So why fit in when you were born to stand out?
Yes, I like that. Doesn't matter if you're a special needs child, Why do you have to fit in when you were born to stand out? Thank you for that. And Deline, any?
Not really like what I said. I've just learned to be not in my journey, not to be so
Judgmental.
judgmental at all. We just have to take every day as it comes. There was this one Indian guy that was my he also had a special needs child, and he used to say, Andeline, you have to take the life as it comes. And I used to tell him, Mr. Navwani, I don't want to take the life as it comes, but I have learned to take the life as it comes.
Yeah,
That is very true.
it is true.
You have
It
to
is
take
true.
one day at a time.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. I know it's late in South Africa and it's even later in India. Thank you so much for being on Talk to Me Africa today. And I hope that, you know, what you're doing at the Neurogen Brain and Spine Institute in India, Krishna Vini, is going to continue to provide the support that the children who have special needs and their parents and guardians need. And for you, Andeline, kudos to what you're doing. I'm here to support you.
Thank you.
Let's get your YouTube channel started and let's help the world know that why fit in when you were born to stand out? Doesn't matter who you are. So thank you so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, have a good night.
Thank you very much. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you
Mhm.
so
Bye.
much. Bye.